I used to love her, but I had to kill her. Oh, wait, that's the wrong song. I used to love her, but it's all over now.
This song is a cautionary tale, Justin.
Yes, it is.
Don't date the town pump.
And today we're going to do the Rolling Stones' first hit single, It's All Over Now.
Yes, it is.
Let me give you a little quick history on the Rolling Stones. If you don't know, they were formed in London, England in 1962. They've been active for over 6 decades now. They were originally formed of Mick Jagger on vocals, Brian Jones, multiple instruments, mainly guitar, Keith Richards on guitar, Bill Wyman on bass, Charlie Watts on drums. Brian Jones was replaced by Mick Taylor in 1969, right before his death. Of course, Brian Jones, a famous member of the 27 Club. Richard and Jagger actually knew each other because they were childhood friends, and the Rolling Stones were actually signed to Decca Records, who famously rejected the Beatles. Early on, the band released a lot of covers before they started writing their own music.
Well, so was everybody else at the time, right?
Yeah, but I think the Beatles changed that a little bit. Even though the Beatles did a lot of covers, I think them starting to write their own music really kind of changed for bands like the Stones. And it's a good thing it did because they've written a number of great songs.
I agree.
But the first single they released was Chuck Berry's song, Come On, and it reached number 21 in the UK charts. Second single was I Want to Be Your Man. It's actually a single that was recorded by the Beatles as well, written by Lennon and McCartney. It reached number 13 in the UK. And then, of course, this song we're doing today, It's All Over Now, was the first UK number one hit for the Rolling Stones, so really kind of put them in the big time. Now, the second album, The Rolling Stones number 2, was their first number one record in the UK, hit number 5 in the US. And the first Jagger Richards single that was written by the duo that reached number 1 was called Last Time. Now, summer of 1965 is really when the Stones hit it. I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Worldwide number 1. I mean, absolutely everywhere. And that's what really propelled this band into worldwide stardom. They had a lot of big hits in the 60s. 19th Nervous Breakdown, Mother's Little Helper, Paint It Black, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Sympathy for the Devil, Street Fighting Man, Honky Tonk Man, Gimme Shelter, You Can't Always Get What You Want. I mean, the list goes on and on. Obviously, the Tongue and Lips logo, which is very famous, starting in the 70s for them. A bunch of 70s hits as well. Brown Sugar, Wild Horses, Beast of Burden, Shattered. That list goes on and on as well. Mick Taylor quit the band in 1974 and was replaced by Ronnie Wood, who had been in the Byrds and the Jeff Beck Group and Faces. They've had many comeback tours, more than you can probably count, and they're still going today. So that's one band I've never seen, and I probably should. I've always been scared away a little bit by the ticket prices, but from what everybody says is they still put on an amazing show, so it's probably something I need to do. Bill Watts, of course, died in August of 2021 at 80 years old. They've released 30 studio albums, 23 live albums, 12 compilations, and over 350 total songs. The Rolling Stones are the 4th best-selling group of all time. They've sold over 240 million records worldwide.
I wonder how they compare to, like, longevity. How are they the longest touring group of all time?
That I don't know, but I think they're the longest touring big name group, and I'm sure somebody can probably throw some facts down and counter that, but send it to us.
Come on, fight with us. Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to get to the song?
Please do.
And now it's time for the song review.
So today we're doing the Rolling Stones, It's All Over Now. Now this is a song that was originally written by Bobby Womack and his sister-in-law Shirley Womack. And it was originally recorded and released in early 1964 by a group called the Valentinos with Bobby Womack singing as well. It reached number 94 on the charts. It is said that the famous New York disc jockey Murray the K actually gave the Stones a copy of the Valentinos version, and the Rolling Stones loved the song and they decided to cover it themselves. Now, Bobby Womack, he didn't like that idea of the Stones covering his song, but, really, once he heard their version, and I think once those royalties checks started rolling in, I think he was okay, because later down the road, he did offer him to record a lot of his other songs as well.
Oh, I would gladly trade places with Bobby Womack and ride on the coattails of the Rolling Stones royalty checks.
Yeah, so would I. So the Stones released their version of It's All Over Now on June 26th of 1964. The B-side to this song was a song called Good Times, Bad Times. Now, while they were touring in the U.S., they recorded this song at the world-famous Chess Records in Chicago, Illinois, for their first visit there, which They have recorded a lot of things there. And it was produced by Andre Oldham. They also recorded Time Is On My Side, if you know that song, at this session. Now, the Rolling Stones version obviously has been the most popular and famous version of this song. There's no doubt about that. We did listen to Bobby Womack's version with the Valentinos, and it's not a bad song. It's just a completely different feel.
It's a bit more hillbilly, folksish.
I really like the vocal in it. I just don't like the music quite as well. But
Yeah, the music, well, we'll get to that when we do the review.
so the song, I mean, the song's pretty open. If you listen to the lyrics, it's about a failed relationship, basically because she was the town trollop. You know, he spent all his money on her, and she used him, and while she was out with every guy in town. It's pretty easy to decipher. Just listen to the lyrics. It's not too tough to figure out what it's about. Now, of course, this song reached #1 on the UK charts, giving the Rolling Stones their first big hit, their first #1 hit. And in the US, it reached number 26 on the charts, as well as number 26 on the charts in Canada. Now, this song does feature Brian Jones playing the 12-string electric guitar, and you've got both Mick Jagger and Keith Richards singing the chorus together. The song's been covered. I was reading a list of all the artists that have covered this song, and it is so immense. I mean, some of the famous ones are like Johnny Rivers, Waylon Jennings, Rod Stewart, Molly Hatchet, and there were so many I couldn't even name. I seen the Grateful Dead would play this song live all the time. It said they'd played this song live over like 500 times or something like that. So,
And yet, this is my first time hearing it.
yeah, kind of interesting. And I know this song really well. It is the first time I heard the Valentinos version, at least that I recall. After hearing the Rolling Stones, It's All Over Now, what do you think of this song, Tyler?
So this song starts off with a pretty heavy guitar open. It sounds like the introduction to a different song. In fact, when it started, I thought, oh, maybe I have heard this song before, but I can't put my finger on what song it sounds like.
It's very reminiscent of a lot of the early Stone songs to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of the early British
Invasion stuff.
kind of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it seems similar.
Well, it is 1964, so.
Yeah.
Which I'm impressed by the fact that they've been a band for a year and a half at this point, and they've hit #1. Like, wow, that's pretty awesome. They're a good group. They really are. There's no arguing that the Rolling Stones are not a good group. I mean, I've given Mick Jagger some crap over, his big lips and all that, but the guy, he's a lot richer than me and a lot more successful than I'll ever be.
Well, and the kind of shape he's in and the fact that they're still continuing to this day is pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're in their 80s, and he's tougher than me. He's younger than me. I completely yield to Mick Jagger being the superior human. So there's a couple of things in here. After the guitar open, you get into this rhythm where there's a tambourine playing in perfect time with the drums, and it holds a really steady bass line. I was like, wow, this bass line, it's just very consistent, steady rhythm. It's beautiful music. It's really well done. And then the singing starts, and the singing, it sounds upbeat and jaunty, but you listen to what he's singing about, and it really is heartbreaking. Like, this is a guy who, had a relationship, and his girlfriend would stay out late all night, and he found out that she was, getting with every guy in town. Making the rounds, and while he was in love with her at the time, it's all over now, and there's no love lost on her. So, that's a real heartbreaking message to me, and I find that it's really just so offset, juxtaposed with the music, because the music is real folksy, real upbeat rhythm. And it's an upbeat tune, but the lyrics are all blues. That's my opinion. My last note here is that Mick Jagger has a really good voice for R&B music. What are your thoughts on this song, Justin?
Well, I think listening to this song as early Stones, you know why they were so popular and why the sound was such a hit. We've talked before about how both the Stones and the Kinks were kind of the first white groups to really get into the heavy R&B. And if you compare this to, say, the Beatles, which are my favorite group, it is a heavier, bluesier sound than what you get with the Beatles.
Yeah.
And I don't like it better. I like it different. we're lucky we have both, is what it is, because I love the Stones. I have all their albums same way as I do with the Beatles, and I just love this sound you get from them early in it.
Airwaves are in no way clogged yet with as much room as we have for music, right?
Correct. Now, we listened to the mono version on this, and like you said, the raw guitar opening is kind of in a echoey reverb type of sound, which is kind of cool, and it is reminiscent of a lot of songs, but I can't really put my finger on that as what it would be. The bass isn't too bad in it. The drums are heavier than a lot of the earlier 60s music. A lot of them, we've talked about it before, are really tinny and kind of mixed to the back. I think they fit this really well. The tambourine going through fits it perfect. It's a perfect blues song, perfect rhythm and blues song. Mick's got the perfect vocal for it. It's why they've been so popular, why they've been so successful. I know it's been said that John Lennon gave Keith Richards a little crap about the guitar not being great in this song, but I kind of disagree with that. I think the guitar is perfect. I like all there's little guitar licks and accents through the verses and the choruses, and it's got not a bad solo in the middle of it. It's very 60s. It's very rhythm and blues, early style, but it fits perfect, and I really think this song rocks pretty good for what it is.
This is a good dance song. This is dancing music.
Yeah, and I can see if you put yourself in the shoes of the times and what kind of music was coming out, this is certainly edgier than some of that.
For sure.
And I really enjoyed it. So do you want to get to the song rating?
Yep, let's rate this one.
Song rating.
If this is your first time listening, we've got a rating scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the highest. And so this one was a little difficult for me to rate, Justin. I've had difficult times rating other songs in the past, but this one, I think my hang up, and you talked about John Lennon gave Keith Richards some crap about the guitar not being all that great. I don't think it's not that the guitar is not great. I think that the music is beautiful. It's perfect just the way it is, but it's such a jaunty tune. It's so upbeat and peppy that it really, I want a little bit more blues, for as bluesy as the theme of the lyrics are, right? So like the message of this song is, hey, don't date the town bicycle, but you know, the music is just like, yeah, let's go for a bike ride. And so that's what's really throwing me. This song is better than I'm going to rate it. I'm going to give it a 7. And it's just because it doesn't really mesh in my head. It sounds real contradictory when I'm listening to it compared to the lyrics versus the music. All the musicians, these guys, this song deserves to be a number 1. These guys are excellent artists. They're all very competent at their craft, and they deserve to be headliners and, you know, rock stars. They've earned it. But this song, it's not as good as a lot of the other Rolling Stone songs that come out. I'm glad that I got to listen to this one. It's just not the top for me. Where do you put this one, Justin?
Well, it's tough for me as well, because a lot of these songs from bands I really enjoy, let's say The Who, The Beatles, The Rolling Stones, all that, some of the early stuff you've got to almost put into context.
Yeah.
Because when you really listen to it, it's certainly not as modern. They were recording on 4 tracks at the best. You know, they didn't have a lot of studio tricks or anything. They were recording them in 1 or 2 takes. And you've also got so you've almost got to grade them on a curve of what other music was out there. I think as far as white musicians doing blues, I think this was edgy in its own right. So being more bluesy, I don't think you're going to see that till later Stones. But it's also a cover. And covers are hard for me because some of the covers are the best songs I've heard. But, you know, these lyrics aren't Keith Richards or Mick Jagger's lyrics. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's not a good song or not. But once they started writing their own lyrics is when the songs became very powerful. And I think there's something in that, too, when you know that's coming from a place of realism, or maybe it's not even realism, but it's coming from their own head. I rate this song a 7 as well. I think it's very important. It's not one I visit a lot. I don't visit early Stone stuff too much, but I still enjoy it. 65 and later is the Stones I really get heavy into, but it's a good song, no doubt about it.
I will give them this. This song is a lot better in the Rolling Stones version than the Rod Stewart version. And I haven't heard the Rod Stewart version.
I agree. Me neither. So That's what we think. Write us and let us know what you think. Send us an email at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And once again, like always, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. We know there's a lot of podcasts out there, especially music podcasts. So if you're spending your time with a couple unknowledgeable fools like Justin and Tyler, then it's appreciated.
I hope you're having as much fun as we are.
Until next time, we'll see you later.
See you. Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.